Shifting focus now to the other battlefield. In fact, a new kind of war unleashed by Donald Trump, what's being called Operation Economic Outcast against Iran. Basically seeking total isolation of the Iranian regime. It sounds grand, but can it succeed is the big question. Also, what exactly is this operation about? Let's just lay out the context for you first. According to America, this is an unprecedented campaign to sever every remaining economic lifeline sustaining Iran. So the aim basically is to squeeze Iran economically by exerting financial pressure and mounting that economic offensive. So does this mean failure of the US military operation is what many are asking. Has that led to this switch in strategy? We've been telling you about what's been happening behind the scenes so far. Also, what really is the end game here right now? Is the strategy limited to exerting economic pressure? What's being said? Well, not really. Pete Hegseth has said that the Trump administration was not ruling out using military force against Iran, even as Washington unveiled what it called the economic D-Day against Iran. On the question of whether America is holding back from taking action against Chinese banks for doing business with Iran, the US Treasury Secretary very crucially said that no one is above the reach of the United States sanctions. But the thing is, let's just join the dots for you. For this unprecedented operation, Trump needs China. So what exactly is China saying right now? Beijing has warned that America will be facing consequences. Basically, it has warned the US that it would retaliate against any significant expansion of the Trump administration's new secondary sanctions relating to Iran that hit Chinese companies. Also, the question is, can America actually isolate Iran? It's really not that simple. Trump is threatening not just Iranian companies, you see, but foreign banks, businesses, airports, government entities, ship registries, and financial networks that basically provide Iran with what he calls a lifeline. And the targets include oil smuggling, cash transfers, exchange houses, front companies as well. Also, the thing is, Iran is far too familiar with sanctions. It has lived with them for decades. Years of the US sanctions have already forced Iran to build an alternative trading system, one that relies heavily on China, neighboring countries, intermediaries, and so-called shadow fleets. So that basically brings us to China, which is pretty much the most important part of the puzzle here. You see, Trump cannot completely isolate Iran unless he also can shut down the channels connecting Iran to its biggest buyers, and that could mean confronting China. So will Trump be willing to take that route? Any serious increase of the US sanctions on China specifically would risk exploding that relationship with China only a month before Trump and Xi are scheduled to meet in Washington. Iran for now has responded with defiance, saying the latest US measures were an admission of military defeat, and it warned countries against aiding Washington. In fact, an IRGC spokesperson also said America resorting to economic warfare against Iran is again itself proof of defeat on the battlefield, according to the Iranian state media. The Iranian economy minister also claimed Iran had a 2-year plan to counter Washington's new sanctions. But does it really? As of now, the state of the Iranian economy, what's it looking like? It is facing an extremely difficult combination of war, sanctions, disrupted energy exports, currency pressure, to say the least. The IMF currently projecting Iran's economy will contract 5.4% in 2026. So consumer prices are projected to rise by almost 69% this year. Iran's non-oil economy, however, gives Tehran additional channels at the same time. And Iran's trade, of course, goes well beyond China. But as of now, Iran's currency is crashing. The country's main form of currency, the rial, fell to 2.02 million per dollar on Monday, as per the Associated Press, largely because of the economic toll of the war. The rial was worth 1.65 million per dollar just before the war, which means it now takes 22% more rials to buy $1. And the devalued currency, high inflation are making it harder for Iranians to afford basic needs. and adding to their hardship. Also, at the same time, Gulf countries are primarily trying to protect their own economies and security. They are not necessarily signing up to every US objective. And that's where Trump's economic offensive becomes a domestic political hurdle as well. The national average price of regular gasoline, for example, is over $4 a gallon. That's more than 25% above a year earlier. So Trump's economic war creates that paradox in a way. The harder US squeezes Iran or tries to, the longer the Hormuz blockade continues, the greater the risk of an energy-driven inflation problem at home. So it could circle back. Also, can Trump actually win this war if the objective is to make Iran poorer and reduce its ability to finance its military? The answer could be potentially yes. But if the objective is complete economic isolation, as America claims, and forcing Tehran to surrender, that's a huge challenge. If Washington goes after Chinese companies, for example, or Turkish businesses, the Iran campaign could become a much larger confrontation over who controls global trade and finance. So can Trump force Iran to pay the economic price without forcing American consumers to actually pay a part of it as well? Because with oil above $90 a barrel, gasoline around $4 nationally, the economic war is no longer being fought only in Tehran. Some of the costs are already being paid by the Americans. This is no longer just about Iran and the US. It's also a question about who will blink first, China or the US, as both China and Iran are vowing retaliation. The world is running short of missile interceptors. Wars in West Asia, Ukraine burning through air defense stocks at a frightening pace. Ukraine is pleading for more Patriots, while America is rushing to rebuild its own depleted inventory. And into this widening gap comes India's Akash, a battle-tested air defense system now attracting fresh international attention after Operation Sindoor. Take a look.
Modern wars are turning the sky into a battlefield of saturation. Ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, fighter aircraft, drones arriving in swarms. And the demand for one weapon is exploding: interceptors. The Patriot system has become one of the world's most sought-after air defense weapons, but years of fighting have exposed a brutal problem. There are not enough of them. According to reports, around 65% of US Patriot interceptor stock had been used between February and July during the Iran conflict, leaving fewer than 850 interceptors. Production is now being accelerated. Ukraine is adding to the pressure. Kyiv continues to plead for more Patriots to defend its cities against Russian ballistic missiles. President Volodymyr Zelensky has called for hundreds of additional interceptors.
Unfortunately, ballistic missiles are the most difficult challenge right now. While about 90% of the cruise missiles in this attack were intercepted, the situation with ballistic missiles is significantly worse. We need missiles for Patriots, and only our partners can provide them. At all levels, we convey to them both what we need and the fact that we know our partners are capable of meeting this need.
That is where Akash enters the picture. India's indigenous surface-to-air missile system is designed to detect and engage incoming aerial threats through a combination of radar, command systems, launchers, and interceptor missiles. The basic idea is simple. Find the threat, track it, calculate its path, launch Akash, and destroy it before it reaches the target. With a 25-kilometer operational range, it can target fighter aircrafts, helicopters, and drones. Akash demonstrated its capabilities during Operation Sindoor. That combat experience matters. So does the price. India has long positioned Akash as a lower-cost alternative for countries that cannot build or afford huge stocks of premium interceptors. The government approved its export in 2020 after interest from several friendly countries. India has exported Akash to Armenia, Tajikistan and Turkmenistan. Brazil, Egypt and the Philippines are among the other potential buyers. Several African and South American nations have also shown interest. But the battlefield is changing again. Drones are becoming cheaper, smaller and more numerous. Using a multi-million-dollar interceptor against a low-cost drone is a losing equation. The future, therefore, belongs to layered air defense, combining missiles, guns, electronic warfare, and cheaper counter-drone weapons. That is Akash's opportunity. With the changing threat perceptions and the emergence of drone swarms, nations need an affordable shield against the new age of mass aerial attacks. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
All right, a lot of people today are content creators. Some make funny reels, some record interesting moments in various ways, while others go to extreme lengths to grab a lot of attention. This story coming in from Gwalior in Madhya Pradesh. A man wanted his car to go viral and attract attention. Clearly, it did, but in the process, his unusual stunt also caught the attention of the police. The man's vehicle was covered bumper to bumper with around 3,000 lipstick kiss marks. These images showing the car almost completely covered with those marks. This unusual stunt quickly went viral on social media, clocking lakhs of views on Instagram. But the viral stunt eventually landed the car's owner at a traffic police station. The police imposed a fine of 5,500 rupees. That's not all. The owner was also given a rather less glamorous task, wiping every single kiss mark off the car, as you can see. These images of him cleaning the car have gone viral as well. What started out as an attempt to make a car go viral ended with a challan, a police station visit, thousands of kisses that had to be wiped away. And that is the lesson here. After a breakdown in trade talks, Canada has announced counter tariffs on US goods ranging between 15 to 50% from September 8 onwards. Now, this has come in response to Donald Trump imposing that 50% tariff on around $20 billion of Canadian goods. Canada has also announced an aid package of $5.4 billion for workers and firms hit by the US tariffs. Just lay out the context for you first. The Ontario Premier threatened that Canada can cut off electricity and critical minerals supplied to the US. He told the media that everything is on the table if the dispute worsens. He also observed that Trump had underestimated Canadians' willingness to endure economic pain rather than give in to US pressure. Now, why does this matter for the US particularly? You see, critical minerals are increasingly important to American national security. They are essential components of military aircraft, missiles, as well as munitions, which have been depleted in the Iran conflict. And as the US tries to reduce its reliance on China, Canada's role is vital as it is a leading global producer of critical minerals. Aluminium, copper, nickel, uranium make up majority of its critical mineral exports, which increased by 3% to $49.4 billion in 2025. Just last year, Canada's critical minerals exports to US reached $28.8 billion, accounting for 57% of the country's critical mineral exports. In terms of electricity as well, Ontario in particular has a leverage as its power grid connects directly across the US border to Michigan, Minnesota, and New York. Last year, the Ontario Premier had planned to impose a 25% surcharge on electricity exported to these three US states. Also, did language play a role here in the scuttling of the talks? While visiting a shipyard in Quebec, the Canadian Prime Minister told attendees that Canada could not accept a proposed trade deal that would have weakened French language protections in the country, basically accusing America of trying to destroy its key industries. And he made it clear that Canada is not a subsidiary of the United States.
We learned that during the negotiations, the Americans want to destroy our major industries, including the automotive industry, the steel and aluminum industries, with negotiation terms that are not fair. And that's one of the main reasons why we said no. It was a bad deal. Okay.
However, Trump accused Carney of lying on the French language issue for political gain. He said, and I'm quoting, "I would never interfere with Canadians speaking French. In fact, I have never been thought of doing such a stupid thing. I have never even thought of doing such a stupid thing." Earlier, the US president claimed that Canada had been ripping off America for years and also hinted that the US may change Lake Ontario's name to Lake America. Trump also repeatedly riled Canada by suggesting that it should become the 51st state of the US, remember. While a trade deal continues to elude both sides, China may emerge as a key beneficiary here. Earlier this year, Canada reached an agreement with China, remember, to remove trade barriers and reduce tariffs. The agreements with China were expected to unlock export orders worth $3 billion for Canadian businesses. And with Canada's latest slew of counter tariffs, it appears extremely likely that tensions between both countries will worsen even further.